Hello and welcome to Alchemy for the 21st Century, the Rebirth of Resistance. My name's Gary and I just want to take a little time to talk with you about current events and relate them to alchemical themes. I'm not going to go into great details about current events, but there is a few we need to be aware of over the last 4 weeks. And that would be mankind's awareness of the materia prima, events going on in Europe, and the statement spend, 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 which could be translated into believe, 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 and activities within the Catholic Church. And all these things have to do with timing. And what do I mean by that? Well, in order to institute a predetermined future for the masses, there are probably 3 things that you would like to be aware of. The time when to implement the plan, mankind's willingness to accept the plan and the forming of allies, and the masses' responses to it. Now, the last 2 are relatively easy and can be accomplished through generations of shaping through the transmission of knowledge and engineered events. But the first one is more complicated because it has to do with destiny. And again, what do I mean by destiny? Well, just make an interpretation. Destiny is an understanding of flow of time in order to create a future point in the present. And again, too, is to understand that, okay, is we must begin to understand flow of time. And I want to give you an alchemical interpretation of flow of time. Flow of time equals flow of consciousness, and it is repetitive in its motion due to its structure. And the alchemist thought of it as a loop on a coil of time-space. So if I would know an event on a past loop, it will repeat the same consciousness on a present loop. And the only thing that would change would be the utilization of consciousness, or what we call today the evolution of technology. So instead of throwing spears, we would be shooting rifles. Or instead of building structures with stone, we would be building structures with steel. But remember too, it is a coil-like movement. That means it can go back or forth. So it is possible that sometime in the future, we will be throwing stones again. And awareness of that point becomes a marker for destiny. But there's also another level of time that's in play here. And for a more modern understanding, we will call it evolution. And the alchemists too believed this was a loop on a larger coil of time-space, and it would give time its linear appearance. But it's not necessarily always about evolution of form, for the alchemists would believe that it could also be evolution of mind, or as the Greeks thought of it, as evolution of thought. And this manifests itself as mankind's desire to become something more or better than what he presently is. And we can also think of it as an archetypal driver that moves mankind in a different direction in order to break existential stagnation once it's activated. And we can see this played out in the world today, but the movement's relatively stifled because of what mankind believes. But this would become the second marker on destiny, and all is needed now is an understanding of the third. So what we can say here is, due to its structure, it appears that time does not begin or end, but is a motion of transitions, and it is how the transitions are interpreted that determines the relevancy of the masses. And the masses have been taught to believe that these transitions are either apocalyptic, catastrophic, or a great rescue. And all 3 of these themes keeps mankind susceptible to the great rescue and the great trap. So what we can say, it appears that this game has been played out for a very long time, and that this plan is very old. And it's not about revolution. It's not about violence or demonstrating in the streets or hate. It is about something else. And that something else can be found in transitions, and that can be found in how modern man divides time. So anyway, I wanted to thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed my interpretation and will continue coming back for my videos. Thank you now. Bye-bye.